Hey, well, good morning again. Bill Diggs here with the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust, talking about business in the Black. I'm really excited this morning, guys, because we've got a guest that actually is a good friend of mine. And he comes to us from a different city. He's been here for a little while now, and he is a director and CEO of the Department of Transportation and Public Works. And I've figured out his name. Most people look at it and read it one way and say it another, but I'm here this morning with Eulois Cleckley. Eulois, good morning, my brother.
Good morning, Bill. Very happy to be here, and it's always great to see you.
Good for you to be here, man. I really appreciate this, man. I mean, because we have a lot of guests on the show, and we talk about a lot of different things, and most of the time it's about motivational stuff around Black business and the importance of it. But I really want to talk to you, man, about money, right? Because, as the CEO of the Director of Transportation and Public Works, you guys are about $1 billion agency. You're large.
Absolutely. We're large. We have 4,100 positions and employees, and every single year we average between $1 to $1.3 billion, whether it be a capital program or operational budget. So we're one of the larger departments within the county.
Lord.
And we essentially touch everybody. Transportation touches everyone. And so it's an important and influential department, and I'm blessed to be in a position to lead all of the staff. From a budgetary standpoint, we are very much focused on our capital program.
Yep.
And that covers the expansion of our transit system, which everybody's very excited about through our SMART program.
I am too, man.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely provide some updates in terms of how well we're progressing in that regard. But also we have just general infrastructure, so roadways, bridges, traffic signals. We have 198 miles of canals that we are responsible for.
198. Wow.
198 miles,
so are you guys building these pumping stations at a time?
So we do have 18 pumping stations throughout the county that we're responsible for. And so we manage stormwater and coordinate with other departments. So if there's a instance by which we have a inclement weather event, we're one of the first responders pretty much to resolve some of the water issues and flooding issues that we have throughout the county.
I live in Miami Shores, and they've been talking about like a new pumping station or something coming in to do all this flood mitigation stuff.
And we are looking. We continue to work with Durham to one, identify where we have these low-lying areas and where we need additional infrastructure. They, on the planning side, make that decision, and then we're the implementing agency for that type of infrastructure.
I imagine your procurement department's got to be massive, brother.
We're massive, and we are busy.
We are busy. I bet.
We have close to 400 projects in our portfolio, just to give you a context of it.
Wow.
So, and on top of that, we have our capital projects, but also we respond to customer issues and complaints and the like. And we're averaging around 60,000.
Right?
Yeah, we have a call center, and we have administrative staff that takes those calls, and we respond to constituent issues. And then, of course, we have our crews that go out and address things. And then we have engineers on staff. So we have everybody from PhDs to folks that are cleaning our buses that are part of the DTPW family.
It's amazing to me. You don't think about how large it is when it's Black Business Month and you wrap a bus and put it out in front of my event, man. I mean, I'm thinking, gee, thanks, right? I mean, and don't get me wrong, but I greatly appreciate it. I'm glad you do it. But when you start to talk like that, I realize that, you're moving mountains every day, man.
It is. You have to have a passion for this work. Every day in my role, it's more about how do you address and overcome the challenges to still move forward and still meet the expectations from the residents and the businesses here. And the importance of transportation and mobility is critical. It's critical from folks that are 8 all the way to 80. And so we need to make sure we design and we implement and build infrastructure that can move those individuals in a safe manner and get them to where they need to go. Ones that are cost effective and again, meeting the needs from a lot of times our business community that people either are taking our transit system or they're riding on our roadways that we're responsible for them to get to work, but also just a high quality of life that we want to provide for folks that live here in the county.
Well, I'm grateful that, that you decided to bring your talents to South Florida, right? I mean, but because Eulois Cleckley, you're not from here, man. Tell me who you are and where you come from, and give me a little bit of an idea in regards to your background.
Sure. I appreciate that, and I have a greater appreciation of coming in, being new to the community. It's
you took your lumps like I had, man. I'm glad you shared some lumps with me too, brother. We're kindred spirits, right?
and it's amazing. I tell folks that. One, I wouldn't have it any other way because one, anytime that you come in from the outside, you're going to be tested.
Sure.
And people they're not familiar with you, so you have to kind of make sure that you build that trust and deliver on what you say you're going to deliver.
Sure.
So it takes time. You just have to understand that.
Right.
So, but I came from Denver. Not from Denver originally, but my last position was the executive director over the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure for Denver. And so had a very wide portfolio there. I was building everything from police stations and expanding the convention center to doing transportation infrastructure, as well as solid waste recycling and everything. It was a very wide portfolio that I had there. Before that, I was in Houston. I was the deputy director over the Council of Governments for the Houston-Galveston region. So did a lot of transportation planning, economic development.
Area.
Huge, 6.8 million people.
Yeah, man. And, Houston is big, spread out.
And folks feel that traffic is bad here in Miami.
No.
You go to Houston, and,
dude,
you're gonna run into something you've never seen before.
You know, exactly. I tell people if you are in Houston, find a place, buy your job,
100%.
and be happy.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And that was an interesting experience because there's a diversity of needs throughout that region. But before that, I was in Washington, D.C. I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area. That's where I grew up. And I worked for the Washington, D.C. Department of Transportation. And I also spent some time with the U.S. Department of Transportation as well in headquarters.
I didn't know that. Good.
And then also I've had a stints with economic and engineering consulting firm. And then I had my own business for a short period of time.
There you go.
As well. And then my background is in transportation and economics. And so I actually first started my career on the supply chain logistics side. Which frankly was one of the best experiences that I had because you really learn the importance of timeliness and the impact transportation has to make sure that you're getting products to businesses and to vendors in a timely manner. So so I've been one of these kind of unique unicorn type of folks in the industry, and one of the rare people that have had public and private sector experience, but on the kind of consultant side as well as the actual true logistics supply chain side. And I think all those experiences have helped me kind of lead organizations like the one I'm in right now.
So you're from DC. Where'd you go to college? Where'd you matriculate?
Yeah, so I went to the largest and the best HBCU in the country. I know that's a dynamic and hurtful statement to some, but I went to North Carolina A&T University. I'm an Aggie.
How about that?
And my background again was in transportation economics, and really, and after that, I ended up getting a specialization in global logistics from California State University.
From Cal State. Okay.
Yeah. So that experience was fantastic, and I encourage anybody, whether or not you go to A&T or you go to FMU
why A&T though? I mean, you're a DC boy. Most of y'all cats, you're not. If you go to South, you go to Atlanta, or you go to Hampton or Howard. So how A&T, man?
When I went on a campus visit, the second I stepped on campus, there was a feeling of not only family, but it was something in the air. When you step on that campus, you know that you're an Aggie. So when people say Aggie pride, it is heartfelt because it's a unique experience that I think is unlike any other HBCU. There's a reason why the homecoming at A&T is called GEO, the greatest homecoming on earth.
I know all about it.
There's a reason why, and that's because once you get it in your blood, it's there forever, and you're very proud. And man, it's an institution that continues to grow. Every time I go,
engineering is high there. I mean, this whole technology piece at A&T is pretty big.
Correct. A&T graduates most black engineers in the country. I came through in the transportation program, so there's a transportation institute that's there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right, and
that's good to know.
Yeah, it's a unique opportunity where there's a lot of research and development that goes on in the transportation space, and it just prepares you for future professional opportunities. Right. And it's a historic institution. And so it's hard to not step on campus and feel the energy.
I see the smile coming through, man.
And translates into the pride. And so, I've been a staunch advocate of supporting HBCUs, but specifically ENTU, because it's been a fruitful and fulfilling experience for me. Yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, I admire that, right? A young lady who worked for me for years, Jessica Myers. I mean, she was one of the first ranting and raving people that went to A&T, but there was a guy that I grew up with in high school. His name was Chris Wilkerson, and he ended up going to A&T. Yeah. And I went to Clark, and he would always rant and rave about that. And then my daughter went to Howard, and so her roommate, her parents were teachers on A&T's campus. Okay. So she called me one day, and it was homecoming there, and I didn't know it. And she said, "Daddy, we lost." And I said, "Why?" I said, "I thought y'all were playing like Morgan State or something." She said, "No, homecoming." Yeah. She says, "We thought we had the best homecoming." She said, "By the way, Clark doesn't either." She said, "It exists at A&T." There you go. And so she talked about it. And so I've since been following them. And of course, I follow them through athletics and their drive to get into Division I sports. But what is lost is, like you said, the academic pursuits of that university. So congratulations. I know that they must be proud of Eulois Cleckley for what you've achieved, man. Because, I mean, brother, you're a young guy, right? And to be heading up a multi-biennial agency for one of the largest, cities in the country now in Miami, in Miami-Dade County with us so vast and large, there's a lot that's going on. But yet, I think that what I like, and now I understand, and of course I'm saying this like I don't know, but I mean, because for our audience, I understand the pride around you supporting Black business the way that you do through your agency this month with us.
Absolutely.
And I know that, there are other months to come, and you're going to certainly support those months as well, but we're here to talk about Black Business Month, right? And so last year, we did something really neat with your agency, man. We took a tour of historic landmarks in Miami-Dade County.
Correct. And again, to go back to the importance of having a public agency with 4,000 people to appreciate different cultures, it's extremely important because one, you need to understand that, especially in Miami-Dade County, you have the diversity that you have in the different types of neighborhoods, and you want to start off and appreciate and have respect for those different cultures in those neighborhoods. If you're able to do that, when you go out and you start talking about a project, you understand the history a little bit more. You're not afraid of the feedback that you receive. And so as a department, we've taken it to task for the past couple of years to actually do cultural events where we're exposing our staff to just the vast cultures within our department, which then leads into how we can better design and plan for our work moving forward. So,
and by the way, congratulations, because they take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's weird because you and I are in twin buildings, right? You're in the north tower, I'm in the south, and so I see your employees a lot. Yeah. And before, they didn't know who I was. And now, like, hey, you're Bill Diggs, you run the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust. They say the whole name, and I smile. And I realize it's because of your influence and your impact, man. And for us, it's a big deal, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm glad that our mayor and the senior staff have found a way to recruit, I'm going to say outsiders, because I think that what happens is people now are beginning to grow and understand what you've seen in other cities and counties, right? Mm-hmm. When I was in college in Atlanta, they finally had MARTA, Metropolitan Atlanta, Metropolitan Authority for Rapid Transit in Atlanta, whatever it's called, Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority. Yeah. And we used to call it Moving Applicants Back into Atlanta, right?
And it's still called that.
Exactly. But the beautiful thing about it is that some of us had jobs up in the Buckhead area, either doing school in the summer, and we would take the train to Lenox Mall and around those areas. And I've always said that what's missing in Miami is that north line that goes, up through Liberty City, come off 62nd, goes up to Miami-Dade College North, and goes north into Miami Gardens.
Yep.
When that happens, you're gonna see, and by the way, Miami Gardens is growing like a weed. Mayor Rodney Harris has done a good job, and and our chair Oliver Gilbert, and those before him have done a wonderful job to really build that city in a great way. But I still believe that what's missing is that north line.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm glad to see that you're serious about making sure that the changes that are taking place are effectively moving people in that north corridor.
Absolutely. And that, quite frankly, that's the number one project that we have in our portfolio from an equity standpoint.
Yeah.
And through the current chair, Oliver Gilbert, the mayor, Mayor Cava, and I think from all the Board of County Commissioners and the department, and even the Florida Department of Transportation, we understand the importance of moving forward and trying to accelerate that project and actually bring that project to fruition. And we made some significant decisions to get the project back on track because it was kind of caught up in, I would say, a procurement approach that would have continued to delay the implementation of the project. And so through the Chair Gilbert, and working with the FDOT, we've been putting our project in a better position than it's probably ever been, where we've gotten to a point where we clearly understand what the project looks like, the limits of the project, the potential impact on right-of-way, start to look at what the overall cost for the project, and start to frame it and properly move that project through the proper planning procedures to get it environmentally cleared. So then we can move towards getting a project funded and getting it designed and getting it built. And so it's a very long process.
Sure. So
you have to stick to the script so you can deliver these types of projects. It's a 9-mile corridor. The project limits right now is to extend the guideway where we have the Metro Rail running from the Dr. MLK station all the way up to 215 and connecting to the stadium.
Oh, wow.
With stops in between to include Miami-Dade College North and the like. And connecting and knitting together those communities. So it's important because everybody understands the impact that, quite frankly, the federal government back in the 50s and 60s did to this country, which is build a bunch of interstates through predominantly black neighborhoods and bisecting those neighborhoods, but also displacing
That's right.
a lot of black families. And so when we talk about an equity project,
right,
from everything from the state level to the federal level to the local level, we understand that this is really right and a wrong that occurred here in our black communities, and it's an opportunity that we have to not only build this for creating a situation where we're reconciling that issue, but also it is solving a true mobility need here for the county to get people north-south to get to the heart of the city and then connecting those communities. So
listen, I mean, and not only that, though, I think that, what you're seeing the growth of the area that Steve Ross owns like a bandit. I mean, he's got the F1, he's got, tennis, he's got, football up in the Miami Gardens area, and the enterprise they're trying to build behind it, right? And so, everything is coming up in that area. When you get to the point that you bring real transportation up there, then you're going to see this international city explode, and it's doing it on its own organically. But when you really put the infrastructure in place to make that happen, then you're going to see a lot more progression take place. And you and I talked offline, man, about many years ago when this project was funded before.
Yeah.
and we went to DC to see what they did with the Washington Nationals, and I went up there with Commissioner Barbara Jordan and Commissioner Dennis Moss and God bless it, they're doing roll. And it was an interesting time, and I was on the economic development side with the chamber, and we were talking with the folk at the federal level.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a fun conversation. You and I gotta have a cigar, sit down, and share that one with you.
Absolutely.
But it reminds me now of the awesome responsibility that you have, right? And like you said it before, understanding, equity and disparity, and trying to make sure that you can move nimbly through all these different processes? Because, mind you, we just finished our disparity study, and we know that even the social makeup of our community changes every day, and I imagine you must be seeing that in your ridership.
Absolutely, and because we have all of our routes that go throughout the county. So just to put in perspective, we have our Metro Rail we were talking about expanding. Right. We have our Metro Mover system that we're also looking to expand from downtown city Miami to Miami Beach, and then have that's
when I take over the Mary Brickell Village.
Right,
like
there you go, and then also we have plans to eventually extend from School Board all the way up to the Design District.
Oh wow!
But we also have plans on doing mass transit to go to the western part of the county and the like. But folks take our bus system frequently. Out of all of our ridership, we have 80 million passenger trips that we have per year, and about 80 million. 80 million. So basically, we're moving more people than the airport, pretty much.
Wow.
But 70% of those folks are taking our Metro bus system. Okay. And so all of these different modes that we have really touches all different types of communities. And what our job is to figure out demographically, because that is a component of people's willingness to take the system. Sure. How can we better market the services? How can we better design the services to be able to get people to where they need to go? Yeah. We went through a whole revamp of our bus system, which has yielded some positive results. We're seeing between 8 to 10% increase in our ridership from our Metro bus users. Yeah. But ultimately, is making sure that all the modes that we choose and all the new technology that comes on board provides those opportunities to allow people to take our system regardless of your background, where you live, what your occupation is.
Yeah. So, and listen, congratulations too, man. It looks like you successfully integrated these other modes, right? Which is the TriRail and Brightline and all of them are seeming to come now into where your trains are running at. That's had to be an experiment, right? I mean, because you're now talking about a logistics nightmare.
Right. And it's a great point you bring up. So none of this can happen without having partnerships and considering transportation as a regional asset. Yeah. And so TriRail is a regional service. Right. Brightline is an inner city service, but we're actually working with them right now on what we call our Northeast Corridor, which is to provide a commuter rail service that will connect downtown Miami to Aventura, with 5 stops in between. So we that is the next project that will be in a position to be complete with respect to design and moving towards construction here in the next few years.
Wow.
We received a contribution from the state for that particular project from FDOT, and then also in the previous president's budget, we were in the president's budget for around $267 million for that project. So we're finalizing kind of the stages of funding, and that's an exciting project. And again, that will provide relief off of US 1, and then again expand our modal options that we have throughout the county. This is the first time that we're going to be in a position to actually provide commuter rail service, and that's done through partnership through Brightline as well as through TriRail and SFRTA.
So, there's been a lot of discussion around commuter rail and high-speed rail, right? Explain the difference.
Yeah. So commuter rail, it's set up to provide what we call either heavy or light rail options, where you have spacing of a couple of miles between stations, and it's used as a commuter service. So essentially, in the transportation space, you try to design your services around when people are using or needing to travel the most. And so typically those are peak periods, so from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then from 4 to about 7. So commuter rail service is one where it's typically about 30 minutes headways, and you provide it during those peak service times. Off peak is usually about an hour between trains and the like. Intercity and high-speed rail, longer distances between stations. So for example, the Brightline service, which starts in Miami Central, downtown Miami, the next stop is in Aventura, right? So that's about 12 miles. The next stop then is going up to Fort Lauderdale and the like. So you're having more of a intercity type of service, longer distances between stations, and so therefore you can get to higher speeds moving forward. Commuter rail is slower speeds, but it's still providing access between 2 to 4 miles between the station. Real true high-speed rail is coming. You know, you probably heard about the Bright Line West that's coming. And then actually in Houston, when I was in Houston, we were planning with a private entity to provide high-speed rail between Dallas and Houston. Ooh. So those are between 2 city pairs. You know, travel time is around 3.5 hours in a car. The high-speed rail would cut that by more than half moving forward.
Yeah, because I know about the LA to Vegas piece that they're doing, right? And by the way, that money was supposed to come here, and then our governor at the time said no. Yeah. You know, I mean, because I got to tell you, man, I mean, you know, when you go to other countries, especially throughout Europe, and you experience that in Asia, you're thinking to myself, man, you know, why not, right? Why not us? You know, because there was a study that came out, and we only got a little time left, and it said that, you know, the top 3 cities in the world, right? You know, Miami, I think it was London, and I think it was Sao Paulo, Brazil, or something like that, with two other cities, and they talked about the cities of the future, and Miami was like in the top 3. And I said, high-speed rail. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's a sexy conversation, right? But it's got to be just cash intensive, because you have to have the protected, you know, lanes where no more cars will get hit, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of environmental factors that are always contemplated in those types of projects. Yeah. And you have to have the space to do it. And so it's
because we're dense and space is a commodity.
Correct. And so and to give this perspective, it's taken 12 years to get to the point where we are with a line that already has rail that exists, and we're just trying to use the unused capacity through all. So in the U.S., the process to fund and get the project environmentally cleared, it takes a long time, and sometimes people don't. They ask the question, why? It's the process. So what we're trying to encourage people is that, hey, collectively, when you have a plan that's supported at every single level of government, stick to the plan, because any deviation or pivot, you're adding years onto these different steps within the phase of the project. So we're excited because
it's kind of like life, isn't it?
100%. And we're excited now because we truly believe everybody's bought in to the need for the county to be able to expand its transit. And if we just stay the course, we can make some things happen. So we're excited.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, you know, we've only got a couple of minutes left. So what's next for you, man? I mean, where do you see this organization going? You've got all these construction projects coming up, right? You've got all these procurement issues. What's next?
One, to deliver on the expectations from what people have said of what we need, which is expanding mass transit, and we're well on our way. I think we have an opportunity at the same time, from a business perspective, to provide opportunities for businesses that perhaps may not have thought that can come in and work for the department, work for the county. So part of this is, at the same time where we're delivering for the residents, we need to ensure that we're supporting our business community as we move forward. And that's the goal. It's every single day we preach, and from my perspective, I always say to the staff that our vision as a department is to be the world's best provider of transportation options. That means every single person that works for the department, you play a role in that. If you're a bus operator, how well you conduct yourself and run your route and provide customer service is important. If you're a designer or planner, it's important that we're delivering the best projects. And let's make this happen. And the people deserve it. This current administration is supportive of it. The Board of County Commissioners is supportive of it. And so now is the time to move forward, especially when you have money that's available at the federal level, to make sure that we're prepared and we're ready and we're delivering.
Good. Well, man, listen, first of all, I can't thank you enough for your time, man. I learned a lot about kind of, you know, where you're going, where you're at. You know, I think that the last thing for me is I want to say that I greatly appreciate the amount of investment that you and your department are making in making sure that our children understand that Eulois Cleckley is here, he's reachable, and that as a black man running a major department, you really are doing a good job, brother. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for your time. All right. Yeah. Thanks.